fire, fire for fire, fire.
Chad, are you ready for this? Valve response to PayPal banning Steam. Yeah, PayPal has decided to make Steam purchases like another problem because apparently if you live outside, I think it was like the US, EU, and UK and Canada, and I think Australia, PayPal thinks that you don't deserve convenience and they're using it as an excuse to like censor you. So let's dig into it.
If you've tried to buy a game on Steam recently, you might have seen this message.
I saw
Valve
that.
has announced the removal of PayPal as a payment option in many
them in the
countries.
face.
This is not a bug or a mistake. It's part of a bigger problem. The biggest question is, why is this only happening in certain countries? Now, you might remember 1 month ago when we first talked
Because they can't afford to lose all of their money, so they're squeezing their balls where it hurts. Yeah, squeeze the countries that are smaller so that they obey.
about the collective shout, Steam adding a new rule, and the mass removal of games, that it seemed like PayPal was involved. This is because right at that same time, it seemingly stopped working. It was unknown if this
PayPal stopped working in Switzerland and it's been a week, and other countries have been saying the same issue. Basically, anyone that's not in the UK, US, Canada, Australia, UK, and Japan, I think they're all having issues.
was some bug, a coincidence, or actually related
Scary,
to the
man.
situation. Now, when you try to use PayPal in an unavailable country, you get this official statement from Valve.
That's scary,
Steam stated
dude.
in early July 2025, PayPal
So
notified Valve that the requiring bank for payment transactions in certain currencies was immediately terminating the process of any transactions related to Steam. This is important because an acquiring bank is the bank that handles payments on a company's side. Think of it as the bank.
Yeah, they're the middleman, essentially. And they're cutting it off. So now I'm pretty sure Steam is talking about making their own kind of alternative. Which would be great, finally.
Bank that collects the money for Steam.
I would totally
They
use
go
it.
on
Fuck
to say
PayPal.
this affects currencies.
As long as it's not as inconvenient. Like, if it's not super duper annoying to use, yeah, I would totally use it. Fuck PayPal.
Other than Euro, Canadian dollar, British pound, Japanese yen, Australian dollar, and the United States dollar. This
PayPal is a US company. I'm surprised why they continue this path. Because they want to censor. That's why. Yeah, they're not censoring in the US. They still need their big money. Like, they're doing it to smaller countries because they can afford to have leverage over it. And people will start complaining.
means that for every other currency in the world, PayPal is no longer a payment option to buy Steam games. They continue by saying, we hope to offer PayPal as an option for these currencies in the future, but the timeline is uncertain. We're also evaluating adding additional payment methods on Steam for the customers affected by this. In the meantime, please use one of our other current payment methods during checkout. If you can't use any of the available options, you can consider using a Steam wallet code to add funds to your account. This confirms that they are actively trying to fix a problem
Going old school and getting a Steam card. That's so strong.
that they did not create.
I used to do
But
that when I
this
was a
statement
kid, 'cause I
also
didn't have
leaves
money,
us
I
with
didn't have a credit
massive
card or a
question.
debit card.
If the problem is with Steam's content, why would the bank only care about certain currencies? Why is PayPal still working perfectly fine in big markets like the US
'Cause they
and
still
the
need
EU?
money.
One person on Reddit decided to call PayPal's customer service in Poland to get an answer. The lady insisted I contact Steam because they were the ones who pulled the plug because Steam prefers customers to use their balance. When the user read the official Steam message to the rep, she became irritated and hung up.
I mean, to be fair, this is a customer rep. It's not like it's the CEO, but yeah.
This sound familiar?
Still
because
really
it
funny.
should. This is the same thing we saw with MasterCard and Visa. When those companies put pressure on Steam, they then publicly denied it. So Valve had
Yeah, it started putting it on them, and then Valve was like, no, you did this, because people are going to take MasterCard and Visa's side, because they are the bigger conglomerate, and more people in the world, including normies, use more MasterCard and Visa, and I think it was Stripe as well. It's very common. Nobody, like, if you're not a gamer, why would you know about Steam? They're obviously going to paint the picture that Steam is the bad guy.
to be the one to tell the public the truth. It's clear that PayPal is now doing the same thing, blaming Steam to avoid talking about their own actions. When you put all the facts together, it shows a clear connection. This is a bigger plan to control what people can and can't buy online. For this Steam situation, it all began with an activist group asking payment companies to stop handling payments for games with sexually explicit content.
And again, here's the reality. All of these financial gatekeepers and shit have been flexing their power for years to decide what people can and can't buy online. They say it's all about like this reputational risk. You know how they did in the official statement? They're like, we don't know what you're buying, but like, we just don't want to be associated with it. Or it's like about banking partners and how Steam's the bad guy. But in reality, it's all about control. They're testing these markets and seeing what they can get away with, and it's always these smaller countries like the Philippines, Switzerland, I don't know what other countries they have blocked, but it's all these countries with less of a market share, because they want to see what they can get away with before pulling in bigger markets like America, Canada, and the UK, and the vast majority of the EU.
MasterCard and Visa
It's
were some of the first to act,
actually.
which led to Steam's new rule.
And then you don't have an alternative, so you're just stuck with this.
MasterCard denied doing this, but Valve's statement proved they were the ones responsible.
Giga Chad,
At that exact
W
same
Valve.
time, the game store...
I don't like Valve for my own reasons, because they have unironic child gamba with, you know, Counter-Strike and other video games. But this is a big W. Yeah, big W.
itch.io had its payment services with Stripe removed. Stripe's statement was clear, saying it couldn't support this kind of content because of its banking partners. This proves that these banks and payment companies are indeed the ones stopping the payments. Now we have the exact same thing happening with PayPal. A bank on PayPal's side has ended its agreement with Steam. The fact that all these events happened
an entire bank?
At the same time makes it impossible to think that this is just some wild coincidence. Now you might be wondering, why was PayPal only removed for some countries? They start by making changes in smaller markets with fewer legal protections. This allows them to test their power and put pressure on companies without
this is Switzerland, huh?
risking their biggest markets like the US and the EU.
They can do it to South America too, because I'll be a little bit, you know, classist here, but you know, because most of South America has a very weak currency, they can afford to lose it because they don't care that much. I love my LATAMs, by the way. Very, very powerful, fun-loving people, very fun to play MMOs with, but I'm just saying. Oi, no. I'm saying this in the nicest way possible, because even though there's a massive majority playing Steam on in LATAM, the power doesn't hold there because the money is bad, right? Like, it's not good for them, so it's not worth it for them to care. Yeah.
This strategy
It's very
is meant
unfair.
to
It's
force
very
companies
stupid.
like Valve to agree to their demands everywhere without a major fight. The good news is that Valve is not giving up. Their statement that they're actively looking for new payment methods for affected customers is a big sign that they are fighting for gamers and will not be pushed around by these companies, although they sort of have to right now. So the PayPal ban is not a...
Can you not use PayPal to buy online Steam cards? I think you can, because you can buy them off Amazon and then get the code and then put the code into Steam. If you go and buy a card using PayPal, you can go and then use the card on Steam. Just a funny little workaround if you can. Or you can go buy it from a local store, correct? If you don't want to go, then yeah, you can probably buy one online. As long as it's legit, don't get scammed.
Bug. Whether it's the banks, card networks, payment processors, they all try to deny any of this is happening, but there is a clear history, not just with Steam, but for all kinds of reasons. It's getting so big that we have the Japanese government and even Donald Trump stepping in to stop this from happening by signing a new executive order guaranteeing fair banking for all Americans.
That's good. I think that's a good thing.
Even got a statement from the chairman of the...
I hate that there's like a fucking monopoly of banks that can just dictate what we want, what they want to do. It sucks.
FDIC mentioning...
EU has good regulations for the most part, and I think America has fallen behind on that, but America has a lot of freedoms that a EU does not have. I wish it was like, you know, like an exchange, like you could just have both on either side.
How they are going to be
cool.
adding a new rule, so these financial companies have to stop using reputational risk as a reason to deny business. So now
that's
we have
unacceptable.
MasterCard trying to...
But the other thing that I really hate about what PayPal and MasterCard and Visa are doing is that they're saying, oh, we don't know what transactions you're using for purchasing your things. We don't have that kind of information. But then they claim, oh, if you buy any video game off of Steam, then, like, you could be at risk of ruining a reputation. Like, is it or is it not? You fucking liars. I hate you. Why are you lying?
Remove service on Steam through their acquiring
Either
banks.
no, you don't.
PayPal removing service on Steam for a bunch of countries because of their acquiring banks, and Stripe removing service on itch because of their banking partners. So this is clearly
Stripe's
a
a big
massive
deal.
problem that needs to be fixed. In 6 months though, the government will officially have a strategy on stopping this from happening, which could include new
Look at this
laws
big,
and
beautiful
regulations.
bill.
But obviously this might not help everyone around the world, like what we are seeing with PayPal removing service in select countries. The best
And again, the one silver lining of this whole thing is that Valve isn't rolling over and showing their belly like a little weenie. They're actively working on trying to find alternative payment methods, and for now they're just telling you like, hey, you can still get your games, just try and use a code or something or use an alternative. And honestly, this could probably backfire on PayPal in some way. Like, we've joked about Valve Pay or whatever before, but after this, I wouldn't be shocked if Gabe was like, you know what, I think we need to build a competitor. Remember SteamOS? That was born because Microsoft looked like a threat, and they were like, maybe we should just make our own OS. If Valve thinks payment processors are a threat now, they'll probably try and solve a way, because Steam is actually like a lot of money. They make a lot of dosh.
part about this new statement though is that Valve officially confirms that they are working on new payment methods, especially for the affected countries.
That's
we
good.
have joked about the idea of Valve Pay, but Valve joining the payment space to avoid these problems really doesn't seem like a stretch anymore. Around 2012 to 2013, Valve became concerned that Microsoft's new
Yeah, they did this for their new freaking, what is it called? The Steam freaking handheld. Yeah, they only made it because Windows was so bad. That's the reason. It's so funny. I just thought of that. Pre-watch? No, I swear to God, it's not.
Windows 8 and its App Store model could threaten Steam's dominance in PC gaming. This worry directly led Valve to create its own operating system.
Absolutely unfathomably based. And again, I use the SteamOS for VR, for my VR headset, and it's really good. Windows was never good. No, I completely agree. Absolutely. If Linux wasn't so hard to get into as a normal person, I genuinely think Linux would be a great competitor. But because it requires so much know-how, there's not a lot of people that use it, so it's like difficult to get into. I think that's where the issue is, and I have no problem with Linux users other than them being like, you just have to learn how to use it. It's just a skill issue. It's like, well, actually, it should be easy to operate and use because then that would make it more fucking popular. It requires a lot of coding. I don't think it's about coding. I think it's just like you have to have a lot of know-how, and a lot of people just want to turn their brain off and, you know, just use an OS for what it is. Linux is not hard to get into in 2025. Guys, I don't know how to break it to you, but for you, it's easy because you already know how to use Linux. I'm just saying. It's not even coding, it's just commands. Guys, you don't understand. The average user doesn't want to type in a command for, like, something to happen on the screen. Does that not make any sense? Yes, you have to have a know-how, man. It's annoying. It's not even about annoyance. It's about inconvenience. I've used this allegory and this like metaphor before, but if you have to install an ad blocker and then you have to find the right ad blocker in order to get an ad off of the screen, that's already a hurdle in itself for the average person, the average user. It's the same thing as with Linux having to put input in commands. People just want to be able to click something and then it happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's how it should be, but there's a reason for it.
SteamOS to reduce its reliance on Windows, which anyone who knows about SteamOS now, it
which is
outperforms Windows
great.
on gaming benchmarks.
Good.
With this being such a big issue, that clearly shows how these companies like Steam heavily rely on these payment companies, and Gabe Newell loving to be a game changer from his deep sea marine research to his neuroscience.
What is this photo? Nah, I'm good. I don't want to get drilled. I don't want to have my brain drilled. I'm okay.
Science brain implant company, I wouldn't put it past them to try to
I'm
make
okay.
a solution. We also can't forget
That's your
Elon
dentist?
Musk,
Yeah,
who is
it's gonna
aware of the
happen.
Steam censorship and has mentioned he is working on XPay. So this is a
Ooh,
problem that
okay.
we are dealing
Valve
with
Pay
right
and
now,
XPay,
but
it's
hopefully
happening.
it will be fixed soon. Do you think we can see Rule 15 removed from Steam by next year?
Whoa. I can't believe you said Valve Pay too. I don't know, this is the first thing that popped up in my head. That was really good though. Damn. Thanks for the video. I don't think that PayPal, just because it's convenient, should have blind loyalty to it. Just like Windows. I wish there were better alternatives. I really do. I wish that Apple was a better competitor for Android and other stuff. And Windows to a certain extent, because like I would want to try Apple. I have before and I don't like it, and it sucks and it's overpriced. Apple's even worse. No, you guys misunderstand. I want something that's a big competitor that's like Apple but actually good. Does that make sense? Because Apple's overpriced and I want more competitors so they create more better products and they actually like duke it out in terms of market value.
Fire, 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 fire.